So, with only, oh my fucking god, days to go on the final vote of Article 13 and Article 11 and the overall copyright reform, I thought I'd inform people on what it is and what you can do and the things that are going to happen because there have been some interesting developments that I think people should be informed about, and there's things going on that some people are simply unaware of, including people outside of the EU who are, in a sense, kind of missing the point. There have always been arguments that, oh, it won't affect me because I am not in the EU, so therefore X, Y, and Z. Well, I can already tell you, no matter where you are, unless you're in China, this will affect you. Or rather, even in China, this will affect you, ironically enough. In some way or another. So first is Article 11. Now, what is Article 11? Essentially, Article 11 is known as the link tax, and you might be thinking, well, am I gonna have to pay every time that I send to anybody? Well, no, that is a common misconception, and one that I actually fell for a while. What actually happens is that the EU will force Google to pay in case some things are linked. For example, if you or I were to post a link, Google would then have to pay a tax for every time links to certain websites would be posted without such links being posted by the people who own said website. I don't think I need to explain why this is absolutely fucking retarded. Articles get shared around all the time. I don't go on Facebook much, but once in a blue moon I do go, and I notice that the few friends that I still have post articles all the time. I'm also in Discords that share articles all the time, and I am pretty sure that you or I, at some point, or rather at many points in our lives, have posted to links to certain websites who will actually be subject to this link tax. It won't just be the news websites, which, even if it was just that, I don't think I need to explain what they would be trying to do by, discouraging people from linking to certain news sources. It's almost like they don't want certain information to spread or something like that. But anyways, platforms like Google would be held accountable for links that are posted, without their knowledge. Google is a platform where people can share whatever they want. Well, I say whatever they want. It's not like Google haven't been pushing for a certain political agenda or anything like that. No, not at all. I must be going fucking crazy. But anyways, this means that, essentially, Google will be getting shot in the foot over and over and over again. And some companies just don't want to do that. They don't want to pay ridiculous amounts just because of what is being shared on their platforms. And, as we've seen in the months prior to this, Google and many other companies have simply threatened to leave the EU outright. Can you imagine the reactions that will be taking place once some people find out that, simply one day Google is just gone? It just won't be there. Do you know the people that are unaware that this is happening? Do you know how they will react to this crap? I'm pretty sure Spain can tell you all about that. As you've heard, Spain has tried to do this prior to this Article 13 thing, and it resulted in Google News simply leaving Spain. And as far as I know, Google News is actually still not in Spain. But that may have changed. Anyways, that's already bad enough, but now, before I talk to you about Article 13, I want to comment on Article 12a, and you might be saying, well, what the fuck is this? There's another bad article? Well, as someone who has read a rather sizable chunk of this copyright reform, or at least I've seen resumes of it and summaries of it, a grand majority of this, if not everything, is unbelievably retarded, but what is Article 12a? Well, Article 12a simply means that if you are not the organizer of a sports match, yes, if you are not the organizer of a sports match, a fucking sports match, you won't be able to post anything about it. You'll essentially be barred from posting it, so how dare you, I say. How dare you take that picture when you go watch that football match? How dare you share, an iconic picture of, your team scoring that big goal or whatever? Oh my fucking god. Now, moving on to Article 13, what is Article 13? It is the upload filter, it is the meme ban, it is the censorship machine. Well, this entire thing is a censorship machine, but Article 13 is by far the worst of the worst. If Article 11 isn't enough to make Google already pack its fucking bags and leave, then Article 13 basically nails it right in the head. Now, for anyone that has read the YouTube community guidelines, you will probably be shivering if you so much as get your hands on the first paragraph of Article 13. And you may be guessing what the issue is right now. The wording in it is by far some of the vaguest shit I have seen any politician write down in my life. For the love of all that is holy, what the fuck is wrong with some fucking politicians and being unbelievably unable to write down a clear fucking sentence? It's not just politicians, but you would expect people with a salary in the 5 figures per month would at least be able to write down something that, would be properly defined so people can understand it. But the wording in Article 13 is so unbelievably bad. I'm actually starting to think that it's intentionally bad. There is no way that this was written like this. No, there's no way that this is actually the work of someone incompetent. The phrase, there's something so stupid only a genius could come up with them? Well, yeah, that's what this is. I'll give you a brief summary. Article 13 basically only benefits big businesses, and as SaveYourInternet.eu says, due to collateral damage created by the vague and overly broad wording of Article 13, hey, they agree, only big platforms and powerful right holders will benefit from its adoption, to the detriment of all other stakeholders. Now, as this thing goes on to say, it is bad for users, bad for creators, and bad for competition. Now, you can go look up what this actually says in your own time. I'll give you a even more brief summary. To understand Article 13, you need to understand 3 key things. First is that every single platform, much like in Article 11, will be directly liable for anything that is posted there. So if for some reason a copyright infringement occurs, despite fair use, the platform will be held accountable for such a thing, and then the punishments can range from a wide variety of, whatever fucking retarded-ass politicians want to do. To avoid being sued, all these platforms would have to invent some way to block even legal content and use YouTube-like algorithms and techniques to stop things from being uploaded. Memes that are shared every day with, the distracted boyfriend meme or SpongeBob or whatever, I don't know, those are just the 2 that come to mind, or even Big Chungus, ironically enough, would be barred from being uploaded, as these systems would essentially have to play safe to avoid being sued, and essentially things that might not even infringe on copyright would be barred. Even fair use does not apply here. They would simply be barred from uploading because the system will have to desperately chew out anything that might, in some case, somehow infringe on copyright, or else these companies would have to be sued. And developing such a system is not cheap. Not only will Article 11 essentially force a lot of companies to leave Europe, if they did somehow manage to stay, this would essentially kill their funds and would cause them to lose traction, as, a lot of content would be barred from uploading, which would essentially kill how much money they make, but it would also be absolutely terrible for how much money they have, because developing systems like that is fucking expensive. So essentially, a platform like YouTube that is free, or rather as free as our overlords in the alt-left media, who will call anyone to the right of Joseph fucking Stalin a Nazi, will allow it to be, would transform essentially overnight from a platform where you can upload almost anything that you want, and say essentially everything that you want, to a platform with content that is strictly just the trending page, where no actual proper content creators make it on there for some reason. It's just movie trailers, music videos, official music videos, and essentially nothing else. And even websites like Wikipedia, who may include, copyrighted images and copyrighted information, yes, copyrighted information, read upon that in your spare time, would be forced to censor even text from being uploaded if it so much as infringes on things that may or may not be copyrighted. Because again, remember, these systems will have to play it safe. And you know, it is so bad that text that appears in titles of articles will be subject to this copyright law. Yes, text and code will be subject to this. So if you happen to be typing up a sentence and, you know, you so much as dare to write a combination of words which may have been used in a title in an article somewhere, you're fucked, and platforms like Wikipedia and GitHub are essentially screwed. Oh wait! This is so bad, they had to make exceptions for Wikipedia and GitHub. It is so bad that they are literally having to make exceptions for certain platforms because they know these platforms would die in an instant. Let me just repeat this. Text and code. Things as simple as text and code. Never mind your profile pictures from whatever show or whatever memes you want to post. Never mind your remixes of songs. Never mind your fair use uploads of certain clips of whatever. No, just fucking text and code would be subject to this absolutely bonkers fucking law. And you're gonna say, oh, but there's fair use and there's no way this is that bad. Yes, it is. They do indeed specify that fucking text and code will be subject to this. And, you know, fair use will simply not apply here. There was a amendment proposed back in September where it would essentially mean that fair use would trump all Article 13 laws, and if fair use applied to some situations, then Articles 11 and 13 would not be applied. That got rejected. What else did you fucking expect? It's the European Union. They don't give a shit. Also, context. Context will not be part of the judgment of whether your, you know, content, whatever it might be, will be subject to copyright. For example, is it funny? Are you parodying it? Is it a remix? Is it whatever? So, in essence, you're essentially screwed. And you know, it's going to come down to each of the EU member states to apply these filters themselves. If YouTube is this incompetent at using their own algorithms, if YouTube, a powerful company like YouTube, are unable to make a reliable algorithm, can you imagine how horrendous these countries will be at making their own algorithms and filters? Like, even the EU, our EU overlords, have no clue how this is going to be implemented. It's going to come down to the member states to implement this crap. And if YouTube, the almighty overlords of unbelievable algorithms, can't do it, then what the fuck is a country like Portugal, France, Spain, Germany? Like, what the fuck are any of those countries going to do? Like, can you imagine how this is going to turn out? Now, what can you do? I know I rambled on for too long, but here comes the final issue. What can you do? Well, you can contact your MEPs. I've linked multiple ways where you can find out who your MEPs are in the description. And please, don't write anything too long. Just make it very clear that this is something you take issue with. And also note that come elections this May, you will not be open to voting for someone who essentially killed the internet inside the European Union. Be sure to mention that you will not be happy at all to vote for someone like that. And be sure to mention that you will also share this information with your friends and family so that they don't vote for these politicians who may be in favor of these regulations anyways. Doesn't have to be long, just, you know, just 2-3 sentences, you know, like I take issue with this. This is something bad. It will affect me and you because, you know, X, Y, and Z. Put in whatever thing annoys you the most about this. And the next sentence, I will not vote for someone who is in favor of such regulations. Something very simple, you know? Now, the more observant among you may have noticed in the beginning that I mentioned that there have been some interesting developments in this, and that I have not mentioned any of these developments thus far. Now, what is this? Well, viewers, point your eyes in the direction of Italy. Italy makes up 11% of the EU Parliament. And now, what does this mean, essentially? Well, there is this part of EU laws, the only thing that the European Union does right, where if 35% or more of people vote against something, even if it's less than 50%, but as long as it is more than 35%, they will be recognized as a blocking minority, and the thing that they are voting against will not go through. Now, Italy making up 11% of the voting bloc in the European Parliament tilts this blocking minority to 36%. This is thanks to the election of Salvini down in Italy. If Salvini had not won in Italy, this 11% would essentially be cut in half, if not way less. The new Italian government is very pro freedom of expression. Now you may be saying, well, that's it, we're fine then. Well, not quite. In these 36% are people who have voted for these regulations and against at a later point. This is because these are people who believe that this is bad, but don't want to essentially kill the proposals. They want to propose some, changes to it in the future. They want to change the text, but want the regulation itself to stay. These people, in my opinion, are completely missing the point. They seem to forget that every pro-censorship amendments to it have been voted in favor of, and anti-censorship amendments have all universally been voted down. So, hoping for changes to this text to make it a little better are childish at best, in my opinion. But essentially, these undecided people tilt the blocking minority to below the needed 35%, which is a colossal issue. Now, how will this affect you if it does go through? Even if you are not in the EU, this is a fucking nightmare for you. Some of your favorite content creators or things they talk about might originate from inside the European Union, and certain platforms no longer working inside the European Union means that your content will not be viewed by these people, by us, essentially. Which means that not only will your views dip, your revenue will also dip. Some of your favorite websites, commentators, content creators, content itself, may come from within the EU. So essentially, you are losing the views from all of these people. And I know some genius in the description is going to be saying, but what about VPNs? Well, VPNs only get you so far. As we've seen in China and Russia, VPNs are not exactly a universal solution to everything. There would probably be systems put in place to stop these VPNs from working properly, as European overlords and the politicians who would have to pass these things would essentially have to take VPNs into account, considering VPNs essentially make all of these regulations useless, as people can just use VPNs to bypass these things. So thinking getting yourself a subscription of NordVPN would be a end-all to these issues is naive. Very naive. Ways to contact your MEP are down in the description. Share this with your friends and tell your friends what is going on. We only have 4 days. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for rating. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.